discretion is advised.
Hello, Soul Fam. What's up? What it do? Welcome down my little rabbit hole on the internet. This is Canna Witchery, and I am Kat Nicoletta Monroe. For those of y'all who may not know, I'm a psychic medium, intuitive coach, and board certified in NLP as well as hypnotherapy. Here, I present to you a highly requested video, in particular from my clients and Instagram fam. World predictions! Yeah, we're doing it, finally. I know. A couple advisories before we begin. None of my fortune tellings are to be taken as facts. And this one's for the fact checkers in the back. These predictions are quantum downloads, okay? Portrayed as different visions and messages that I receive from my guides. I said that kind of funny, didn't I? And can be subject to change at any point based on free will. Allow me to explain. Free will is your biggest contributor to this human experience. It is your choice whether you want to slow things down, accept them, reject them, and act on anything, any piece of information, in particular your intuition, when you want. I had done these predictions before, as I mentioned. In particular, it happened over Instagram Live, so I decided to take it onto the YouTube and share it with more people. This may or may not get me in trouble. But ultimately, anything that I had predicted in the past, a lot of it unfortunately had come true. Even then, it's still not credible enough in my personal opinion. Please choose to only take this as passing entertainment on YouTube. And we'll see how it plays out later, shall we? I do want to mention, Soul Fam, that my intention is never, ever, ever to increase any form of fear-mongering, but rather alleviate it with appropriate conscious awareness. So I will be touching on topics that are heavy on the heart. You may even see me get a little bit emotional in some points. That's just part of the package. Ultimately, these visions and messages of such get pretty heavy for me if I don't share them with the collective. So this is just me doing my job here on this sphere. So if at any point, Soul Fam, you do feel triggered, please simply click off. It's that easy. Also, Soul Fam, feel free to sound off in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have your own types of predictions? Let me know in the comments down below. Kindly, we can have a discussion. If you're mean, I'm just gonna delete you and say bye. So let's get on with it, shall we? Aliens started off the year in Miami Mall, so it was only fair for me to have them first on the list. This is going to be a rather favored fear tactic and global discussion. There's going to be a lot of people saying that they've seen UFOs, had alien encounters, perhaps maybe had been blasted off into space themselves and woke up in their own bed with memories of an abduction and things like that. A lot of it's going to come from, like, you know, the stories back in like the 70s and 80s and such. Yeah, we're gonna have an influx of that this year. We will be touching on various potential threats that are likely to come up this year, but aliens may just very well be one of them. We have different types of little towns and states, whatever, in the US in particular, that's literally like holding signs and being like, come to us, aliens, we would love to meet you, etc., etc. Why? Be careful about what it is that you ask for. But nevertheless, these are going to be foreshadowed events that lead to more events. There's going to be speculation that they're going to be using technology to fake certain things. A lot of people are going to be referring to different types of phenomenon in the sky as aliens. So just a big heads up on that, okay? Are there going to be necessarily any evidence proving or disproving it? Yes and no. I mean, welcome to the age of Aquarius, where there's going to be an accumulation of energy from all different types of angles. So whatever information it is that you choose to side on, just do what feels right for you, but never allow it to take over you as a form of like anxiety, okay? Just, again, take it as passing entertainment. Do I think that we're actually going to get invaded by aliens this year? No. Speaking of invasions, and this is where we're going to touch on some very sensitive topics right now. I had received multiple questions about a potential World War III and what that looks like. I will say that when it comes to the US elections, Big surprise there. There may be warnings of China striking. They won't. There may also be a lot of talk about Russia expanding their war zones. They won't. At least not this year. This may actually cause elections to be postponed and or affected in any sort of way. That's likely because Biden isn't really winning right now. I'm not an American, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there. Funnily enough, when it comes to the US election, since we're on this topic, I received a really interesting download that neither Biden nor Trump is in fact going to win. There's going to be like this surprise third party that came in the way. There's something about like a VP or something. I don't know if that's like vice president or like, I don't know. I'm not a political person, but nevertheless, there is going to be some sort of like a stand-in, and if either one of them, like Trump or Biden, win, it's going to be very temporary. So I'm not really sure what all of this means, but we'll see in due time. When it comes to the true wars that are currently occurring, which I know that is why a lot of y'all are most likely here, unfortunately, the genocides and wars around the world will continue. It is with an incredibly heavy heart that I announce Palestine will take on more damage. And well, that doesn't say the same about the people. Those whom survived it, those whom are going to reincarnate in the later futures. Palestine and Israel will have an ongoing war in the many, many, many years to come as well. I wish this was the end of it. Of course, we know that it didn't just start on October 7th. This is something that has steered many years, like 1948. So, but whatever. Again, I'm not trying to get biased or political about anything. As far as there being any ceasefire, if it will happen, it won't be until the very end of the year. Ultimately, there may not really be much left anyways, so it may just naturally kind of happen. But one thing Israel and the world isn't really taking much into account is the reactions of Hamas and Palestinians in general, whether they are in this lifetime or in their next. They will be retaliating, okay? No one's really taking into consideration how the survivors are going to react to everything. So, like I said, there's going to be just ongoing battles, and I wish it could all stop, but here we are. I will say that 2025 in particular is going to be quite a year of vengeance for these people. So do with this information what it is that you will. The wars in Ukraine alongside those in Congo are going to continue, and there's going to be many more that are added to the list. There are going to be various small forms of civil wars in the US as well as increasing parts of Europe. A lot of people are going to be fighting back against their governments, against each other, and overall increasing the level of revolution. This is ultimately going to be happening due to segregation, or so the segregation is the overall intent. It is much easier for media and governments, etc., to pit the people against each other. If we're fighting black against white, straight against trans, etc., etc., I mean, the list really goes on. I'm being very politically correct right now, hopefully. It's easier for them to feel as though they're in control if we're the ones fighting each other. Although once people will begin to recognize what's really going on, and there are going to be more and more people speaking out about this as the year progresses, those whom are responsible for the manipulation and straight tyranny across the board in many cases in many countries will have only a few select people for us to channel a lot of our anger on. So for those of y'all wondering why all these gazillionaires are creating bunkers and safety nets all around the world, in particular, let's say Hawaii, that's why. Because they're afraid of the people. So there's that. Ultimately, I think the lesson here, Soul Fam, is for us to truly find peace within ourselves and our communities first. I know that's the most difficult thing to do because we love to argue, especially on social media. But more and more, society is going to be kind of breaking away from fighting each other, if not even temporarily, and really forcing it towards their governments and parliaments, etc. I just actually downloaded that somewhere in South America. There's also going to be some sort of like a civil war that's bubbling up. The people are pissed off. Welcome to the age of Aquarius, I guess. Speaking of, let's talk about astrology for like a really hot second. I am no astrologer. I'm gonna put that out there right now, okay? I'm very interested in such things and put a lot of research and things into it, but I do not personally do any sort of astrology readings. Nevertheless, pop astrology had claimed on multiple pages and articles, etc., that Pluto shifting in Aquarius back in January was the final end chapter for cardinal signs. That is Libra, Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn. Ooh, I did it, I passed the test. But a lot of these pop astrologers have ultimately failed to mention that Pluto is going to be shifting back into Capricorn on September 1st to November 19th of 2024. These astrologers also claim, if they do claim this return, that only those in the third decan of their respected cardinal signs will be limitly affected and that it's over for the rest of us. And I genuinely think that that is incredibly false. Note the dates that I had mentioned, September 1st to November 19th. When is the US election scheduled for? Yeah, okay, cool. So there is likely going to be some sort of media disruption that's going to take place. Ultimately, Pluto is about global change in the balance of power. It encompasses destruction, death, and rebirth. With Capricorn ruling business, democracy, government, manufacturers, and officials. This particular time frame of the year is going to be one really big push from either side, society/government, to influence the direction of this quote-unquote new world order. Coincidence? I think not. Now, the effects of Pluto's exit from Capricorn in November will not be immediate and will likely come in waves. Between now and 2027 in particular, we will continue to see the absolute weakening and ultimately the dissolution of power. Pluto in Aquarius will absolutely be a time of increased, unprecedented circumstances, such that the history has never seen before. We've got a lot to prepare for, but ultimately, if you're here and you're tuning in, you're ready for it. We've got this. I mean, that's what we're here for, yay. Now let's keep the topic on spirituality for a little bit more. When it comes to spiritualism and the content that is likely going to be coming out this year, a lot of it's going to be based in and around Stoicism as well as endurism, okay? And what that means is, although there are pretty decent factors to consider when it comes to topics like Stoicism, the way that it's going to be broadcasted and taught by false spiritualists, and I mean that with all due respect, is to essentially numb out the collective, for us to shut down or even actively respond with destruction as a form of relief. Now, staying in a situation that is against your best interest, we know isn't a good thing to do. It's not healthy for you, okay? But there is going to be an increased belief, unfortunately, across the collective that you feel incredibly powerless. And it will unfortunately be a very lonely and depressing year for many. 2024 equates to the number 8 numerologically, which signifies abundance as well as karma. 2024 is also a Saturn year and the year of the dragon, if we're going to be talking about Chinese astrology. So there is going to be a deep required reminder for ourselves to never lose sight of what it means to truly be human and the power that we really truly hold. Emotions are never a weakness, and you can control them to an extent, although there is going to have to come a point, so fam, where we're really feeling through things and allowing those feelings to empower us for action. So as opposed to us going down the roads of destruction entirely, like the civil wars that I had mentioned and what is ultimately intended, we move towards creation. And so you're going to find an interesting divide within the collective as well. So fam, when it comes down to it, please only pursue the types of protests and challenges in the world that you yourself feel aligned to. And never mind the judgments of other people. If you feel pulled to become this happier version of yourself, to become the stronger version of yourself, to fight for your right to be a fucking human, do that. And never, never, never allow your emotions to deter you and make you feel less than. Whoever needs to hear this, soul fam, emotions, trauma is part of the human experience. For a long time, our society has been suppressing all of that and diving into things like stoicism so we can build a business and we can do all of that. But that time has changed, shifted a long time ago. Now we're moving into the direction of interconnection, of humanitarianism, of an actual true society as like a tribe, as opposed to the individual doing everything on his or her own back. So do with this information what you will. And I hope that you use it to empower yourself. Back to the Civil War for a hot second, and any sort of like threatened attacks from other countries or intelligence as a whole, aka aliens, whatever threat may come in, will enforce a need for martial law in many countries across the globe. It's going to be seen as like a safety from more extremist threats for the society. Any global terrorist attacks in Europe are also going to enforce more of that martial law, and military is going to be on the streets more and more. This is also going to cause more mass incarcerations due to those civil wars and things. Ultimately, the more that you fight, the more that they're going to jail you. I mean, so we're going to, in fact, see a lot more people lose their freedoms the more that they want to proclaim their freedoms. This will also include, to certain degrees, financial loss. Like in Canada, not to bring up necessarily, but when Trudeau had literally like blocked people from being able to use their bank accounts because they were part of like the truck rally that had occurred. Things like this is likely going to take place. Ultimately, they're going to be removing our freedom as we want to enact more of that freedom, however that looks like. And we're really going to have to push hard as a society, I guess, is the best way that I can say. The blackouts are going to likely occur as well, whether it's going to be blackouts on the grid or on social media in general. It will be sporadically occurring across the globe. We can blame this on the weather. We can blame this on infrastructure, but ultimately it is a form of silencing. We have really built upon technology in general as a form of really great communication between ourselves and the world. And well, certain things are going to be shut down and kind of blocked out more and more. So this is just something to keep in mind. Also, buy things like extra blankets and canned food and things like that in case you do reach a spout of like 3 or 4 days in a blackout, because that's most likely going to be occurring. Shopping is going to change, so that's cool. A lot of different companies are going to be rebranding and offering more like human experiences as opposed to just shopping as they demote people from their positions due to AI and technology kind of coming in and taking place of like cashiers, etc. We are going to be interacting with each other in a different way, especially because us as humans, we want that interaction in different types of ways. Don't worry, there's still going to be a place for everybody. That includes also your own personal jobs, okay? So if you lose your job due to a computer, you are going to now be able to have this opportunity to actually take that energy, time, and whatnot, and place it more towards something that you would perhaps want to do more for yourself and become a little bit more self-sufficient. It seems as though across the board, the job markets are going to be a lot difficult to get into, but if you create your own services and take it down your own route, you may in fact find a lot more success than you have bargained for, in particular starting it this year. So do with this information what you will. A new potential strand of COVID or just a flu in general is likely to emerge in the second half of the year. I'm sensing it's going to cause intense congestion and vomiting, okay? So it's going to lead to really intense dehydration. Is this going to cause lockdowns? No. There may just be some problems, okay? And likely, unfortunately, some deaths that would occur with this particular strand as well. So just stay safe and healthy out there, friends. Oh, Canada. 15-minute cities are going to continuously be introduced throughout the year, and they will be functioning well within areas of a city. If Trudeau kind of gets knocked off as the PM of Canada and the conservatives come on in, there is going to be a continuation of the plan and infrastructure that has already been rolled out, but it's not going to be 15-minute cities one beside the other all the time, right? In fact, it's going to kind of increase a sense of convenience in general. Yeah, whatever. More immigrants are going to be entering the country of Canada and US. And a high percentage of Canadians and Americans are going to be leaving their respected countries. So you're going to find a really interesting mix of people and cultures in North America in particular. The cost of living all around is going to be more and more difficult, at least up until about 2027, regardless of who it is that's in power. We do have to take in a lot of damage and destruction before we can really work towards new types of infrastructures and creation and things like that. But 2027's it's up from there, okay? We just need a little bit more time. Let's talk about medical advancements. There's going to be some really cool discussions about mental illness and autism in correlation to psychic abilities. These kind of conversations are really going to be taking place in prominence in the psychology realm, and again be correlated to like really cool superpowers and things like that. It seems that there's going to be like different types of brain scans and things like that scientists are going to attach to people that claim themselves to be psychics and watch in real time as they channel or do a reading, etc., just how their brain waves kind of shift directly into theta and pick up different types of information and thus spew it out in a way that technology has never really quite considered much in the past, at least in the forefront kind of a way. So there's going to be a lot more quantum discoveries, if you will, and more channels and kind of things and people. So that's really something cool to look forward to. Of course, this is going to be highly debatable, okay? But nevertheless, science is doing some really cool things this year, I would say, when it comes to psychic abilities. If they would even call it that. I guess we'll see. Further enhancements around AI is going to be really cool. I downloaded this like great feature that's going to help pharmaceutics and doctors alike really be able to tailor specific types of medication based on a more holistic view of a patient. So all of their data that they have on a particular person is going to get brought through the system, and there's going to be a lot less guesswork as far as like what medication is truly best. So unfortunately, as we know, a lot of patients have to switch medications every so often because the side effects are much more extreme and they're not actually getting the full benefit of the medication or the problem it is that they want to fix in general. So AI is actually going to swoop on in and help do that and cater the right types of medications for the right types of patients for more longevity and more success rates across the board. So that's something really cool to look forward to, I would say. Prosthetics and sensations of feeling is also going to be really brought in. I believe Teal Swan had already spoken about that in her 2024 predictions. So shout out to my girl Teal Swan, love her. So you can definitely check out her video and learn a little bit more about that. But that is also something that I had picked up in my predictions as well. So let's talk about Mother Nature for a minute. The oceans. I've had this really interesting downloads of like the ocean spitting things out. Like out of nowhere, the coastal regions are just going to have a lot more garbage wash up, or like random ships and submarines that haven't been seen forever are just going to float up, you know? I'm not really sure what causes this or why it's happening, but probably because we've loitered enough. Mother Nature is just kind of spitting it out and giving it back to us. The next step will likely be to collect it all and ship it off to space, which will of course have its own repercussions, but there's going to be some really interesting things occurring in our oceans in general. That being said, there's also a prediction of some underwater volcanoes that are likely going to become more active and then cause some more shifts in tectonic plates, which of course will cause a chain reaction and landslides, landslips, tsunamis, etc. So just pay close attention to that. Also, I do want to say that a lot of the islands are in fact going to be more safe. It's going to be in and around like coastal regions of like the states that are going to be kind of hit with more of these repercussions. I don't know. Fires, unfortunately, are also going to be continuing on this year alongside some really interesting controversies and quote unquote conspiracies in and about it being intentional. Now, of course, because we've lost a lot of our shade in general with the massive wildfires that have already been occurring year after year, it is going to happen naturally in some parts and some aspects, but what's going on in the world right now and the mass level of destruction in order to build further infrastructure is really going to speak volumes. And again, the people are going to be pissed off. So if you are anywhere near an ocean or a forest of any kind, just stay safe, stay alert, and take the right amount of precautions that you feel you need to take. If this doesn't resonate with you, then that simply means that you're feeling safe in your area, and that's really good, okay? So just stick to where it is that you are, or of course where it is that your heart is telling you to move to in this beautiful world, because hey, there may be some things that are going on everywhere, but at least wherever it is that you choose to go intuitively is going to be the place that you know your soul is leading you towards your ultimate safety. That's kind of the best way that I can say it. So fam, I think that's it for now, to be honest. Is there going to be another world predictions in the future? Maybe, likely. Let's talk about it in the comments down below. Is it all bad in my personal opinion? No. Again, this is intended for you to have the more conscious awareness and know how to react to particular types of information. So please understand, Soul Fam, that every single one of us plays a different role in society. Some may protest against this kind of war, others against this war, others for the ocean, others for the wildlife. Wherever it is that your soul intends you to go, please pursue that and play your part in this collective that's actually going to help amplify your purpose in this lifetime. That's ultimately what 2024 is all about. If you want more help and assistance in how to do this yourself, your own intuitive reading, please check out knmwitchery.com. I'm more than happy to lead you on your way. And of course, you can still do with that information what it is that you will. Ultimately, Soul Fam, you have a path, and that path is created by yourself with every stone that you lay down your damn self. Okay, Soul Fam, you are in control. You are powerful. You are courageous, and you are worthy of peace and positive change in this lifetime. So although this is going to be a year that is filled with more types of angst and war and dangers, potentially, just know, Soul Fam, that you can overcome this, and we will. So let me know with a like or a comment down below how it is that you resonated, if at all. Again, be kind in the comments down below, or you'll just simply get deleted. Either way, Soul Fam, I hope to see you in another video. All right? Mwah. Bye.